where we are going to talk about how pressure has somehow become so common when handling horses that we are not questioning it anymore. And I think this notion of pressuring horses to do stuff that kind of happens everywhere and with everything we do with them is very much manifested in the way many horses today are cross-tied. Like cross-tying horses has become the new norm. It appears to be completely normal to tie a horse in a way that they cannot move and cannot, bend their necks or, basically do anything. And I think if we had seen a dog tied like this, like outside the store, you had a dog tied up like that, people, would probably report the owner to the animal welfare. But with horses, this is somehow perfectly normal to tie them in cross ties. And which, it is bad because the horse can't really communicate, which they very often do through their posture and through their neck. And it's also bad because it allows us to do stuff that the horse doesn't necessarily agree with or give consensus to, without, getting the horse's consensus in a way. So I see a lot of like cross tying going on when the horse is showered or when we are saddling and doing other stuff with the horse that the horse may not want to do. But since we are then able to put them in the cross ties, we can do it anyway. And obviously that is a relationship killer, right? So imagine if you were reluctant to go to the dentist and someone just tied you to the chair so that you couldn't move. You would feel that like you wouldn't trust that person again who did that to you. Instead of taking the time to make you comfortable or sedate you. Yeah, I think it's actually better to sedate horses than to cross tie them. If we are going to do something the horse doesn't agree with, and that's why we're using the cross ties. Yes, so it kind of doesn't allow the horse to move the neck and communicate with us, and it also allows us to do stuff with the horse that the horse doesn't agree with. But it has become so common that I think today people don't really have any alternative to using pressure to get the horse to do what we want them to do. And I also very much believe that what happens on the ground, we bring with us up into the riding. So if this is the way we tie the horse, then very often this is the way we lead the horse. And once we start riding, then this is the way we ride the horse. And this way of leading horses, tying up horses, and riding horses has become so common that we don't really see it as a problem. We see it as just how horses are supposed to be handled and ridden. It's almost become like automatic. So let me know in the comments below if you experience this as well, or if you go like, what the heck, she's crazy. What? Can't we cross-tie horses anymore? Yeah, I think it's more like a systematic approach to horses that has come so far that people think it's completely normal to have pressure on the horse. When the horse is tied, it's common to have pressure on the horse when the horse is led, and it's common to have pressure on the horse when the horse is ridden. And guess what happens if we always have the horse in some kind of pressure? That horse is going to stop responding to feel and become numb to our signals. So if a horse is tied like this, we can't use the slack of the lead rope to communicate to the horse anymore, because we have taught the horse that, this doesn't mean anything. So to then give a horse a signal that means something, we need to do something more than just picking up the lead rope. But horses, they are so sensitive that they can feel a fly land on their butt. So they can also respond to us just picking up the lead rope or picking up the rein. But if we are constantly having pressure on the rein and the lead rope, we need to then really pull to, make a difference. Yes, but what's the alternative? Yep. And I am actually now at the moment teaching how you can ground tie your horse so that your horse doesn't need to be tied, but you can actually park your horse without being tied at all. And this, of course, might have some pitfalls to it as well. And I would say that parking a horse or teaching a horse to stand quietly without being tied, if we do that very early on in the training of the horse, we can actually teach the horse to kind of park in some kind of freeze mode, and that the horse doesn't dare to move. So we can basically get almost the same results as the cross ties would give us, only there aren't any ties there. So if we are like too aggressive when correcting the horse and putting the horse back to where the horse is supposed to stand, where we then obviously release, the horse might become scared. So although the horse isn't tied, they basically don't dare to move. And there's another thing that can be a problem, is that if we are working on different things at the same time. So since I'm teaching a lot of liberty training, we have like a part where we want the horse to be able to follow us at liberty and walk when we walk and stop when we stop and stuff like that, so that we don't need a lead rope. And if we are working on getting the horse to follow us at liberty, and at the same time working on ground tying the horse so that the horse is able to stand still without being tied, we are working on two different things. So I like better to just work at one thing at a time. And the ground tying is actually something the horses learn how to do from self in the Ride Like a Viking program. So I don't teach horses to ground tie in the program. They just learn it by the way they are trained, because in the program, we are not making the horse stand still. We offer it to them. And since we do this consistently, the horse is going to be happy where they are and not want to wander off to everywhere else. So they learn how to ground tie from the groundwork without us needing to actually ground tie them. They just do it because they don't want to be anywhere else. Yeah. So the ground tying training, if we apply it too early in the training, or if we apply it aggressively, the horse might become scared to move off. And we don't want that. We want our horses to be honest with us and to give a choice, and that the horse chooses the same as we want to do, which I think is a good idea before we start riding them. So while a horse is tied in these cross ties, obviously we can do stuff without the horse consensus, which can create tension in the horse. And it's also very difficult to see if the horse really wants to be saddled or not, because they are, after all, standing there and can't really speak, so to say. But if we ground tie a horse aggressively, we can also get a horse that stands there and doesn't dare to speak its mind. So in the training, I think I also say this a couple of times, that the ground tying exercise is great to do like in the place that you normally brush your horse or saddle your horse or something like that. But I wouldn't start doing it outside and in the arena and other places before you have done the other groundwork, and that your horse is able to follow you at liberty, respond to your body language, and yeah, the rest of the stuff, which then actually teaches the horse to ground tie without needing to teach them to ground tie, because they are going to be happy where they are and, not want to wander off anywhere else. And obviously, we also always want our horses to be honest with us and let us know if they are troubled by something. So I think that's maybe the most common pitfall with the ground tying is that it's super easy to teach horses how to ground tie and stand without being tied. But it's also super easy to, overdo it, and that the horse feels like they are, punished for walking off in a way that they then don't dare to walk off. So that's basically it. And I think I also sent out an email to our email subscribers if anyone had any questions about the ground tying. And the only emails I got was like, this was super easy to do. It took like 15 minutes and now my horse stands without being tied when being saddled and groomed. Which I go like, yeah, that's great. So this is, if you follow the instructions in the video, your horse is going to ground tie in about 10 minutes and you will not need to cross tie your horse anymore. Yes. So if you are here now and you have any questions or something that went wrong with the exercise, then let me know in the comments and I can help you. And if not, and if you're here and you're like, where can I learn how to ground tie my horse? Then you can comment yes below and I will send you the ground tying exercise on email and you are going to get started and succeed with this, within the next couple of sessions. It's very easy. Or you can head on over to ridelikeaviking.no/park and you will also find the free training there. And I think when we ground tie the horse, if we don't do it too aggressively and we are mindful of the things that I mentioned, that we don't, are not working on two different things at the same time, etc., then we are going to build a much better relationship with our horse based on communication and trust versus having them handcuffed while saddling them, because when the horse is ground tied, they are also supposed to be free to move. Yeah, but they are supposed to choose to stand where they're standing and not want to be everywhere else. Yes, so I hope to see you there. And Elizabeth already said yes, so I'm going to head on over and send you the link on DM so that you can ground tie your horse and impress your friends, because this is so easy to teach and so easy to do, and it makes a huge difference. Yes, because by ground tying your horse, you are able to make your ID, your horse's ID, without using pressure and without using force, but by using common horsemanship and by releasing on the right thing. Because a horse tied like this doesn't necessarily experience standing still as a release. But if a horse is tied without being tied, the release is happening when the horse is doing the right thing. Yep, which is the clue to everything that happens later in the leading or in the riding. And I think that's what modern day horse training lacks. It is the release, because it's so much constant pressure going on. And I think that's also why so many riders, get backed up or end up with problems with their horses, is because the release, the timing of the release is wrong or basically non-existent, which creates tension in horses, and it can also create shut down horses. So get started with the ground tying and, you will figure out how you can do the rest. Yes. Okay, that's at least a very good start. And thank you so much for joining this evening. True honor to see you here. And yeah, let's start ground tying our horses instead of cross tying them. And I think that might inspire others to do the same as well. Yep, okay. Thank you so much for joining, and bye for now.